You see that boy back there? That's an M2 MacBook Pro, and it has issues. So something that I've pretty much noticed in terms of computers is they all die at the worst of times. For example, this, that's just wrong. This is a MacBook Air. This is a 2017 MacBook Air, and what you might not know about this is actually my mom's old computer. She now has an M1 MacBook Air. This was her old one. Her older one, which I actually gave to one of my friends. The battery is basically trash. That's why I put a higher capacity battery in this one, and only this one. Because this is the one that with 8 gigs of RAM. This is the one with, well, I mean, it had pretty trash storage until I switched the storage from a different MacBook that I had with this. And this is now useless, and I'll tell you why. See the screen, right? Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it, right? Well, take a bit of a closer look. This screen is on. This is showing stuff. Can you see it? No, you can't. And the reason why is because one day, when I was just using this on the table, the backlight just decided to spontaneously die. Just like that. And the next morning, so like the day after that, I picked up my other MacBook Pro, the M1 Pro one, the 16-inch, and that turns out to have screen issues as well. Like, I knew that it had screen issues before because the brightness, particularly, would be really weird. It was quite chunky, and I'll tell you why I would describe it like that. So, when you jump from here... balls. This is not going to work. Not at all. When you jump from here to here, it's very linear. There's a very linear track in terms of the difference between the two. But when you press the brightness up button again, it can go from here to way over here. And that's not normal. So I kind of thought something was wrong with the display anyway. So I was kind of expecting something to go wrong eventually to make it basically useless. And something did happen. So the morning after this thing died, I woke up to the MacBook Pro display had a 1-inch strip of the display going straight down, and it was like it was from where the battery indicator started to where the Wi-Fi indicator ended. That whole section of display straight down was basically dead. It wasn't totally dead. It would still change the colors that it showed depending on what was showing on that part of the display, but it was basically useless. And it was bothering me, and I didn't think my MacBook was still under warranty. I know that thing back there is, but I didn't think my current one was. The one that I used most of the time. So, we went to the Apple store. I brought this thing along. Of course, this is basically completely useless, other than if I screen share to it and do stuff on it through that. There's no really use for that. I have a Mac Pro, which is actually... the computer that this camera is actually standing on is a Mac Pro, and I screen share into that and do stuff on it. That does stuff infinitely better than this. So this is basically useless. Get it. And you want to know how much money they wanted to replace that display from 2017? That's a 5-year-old piece of equipment, and they wanted $400 to replace the display. And let that sink in. You can get a basically mint condition MacBook Air, that exact same model, for that price on eBay. So that wasn't going to happen. So we said no, and we had them replace the other the MacBook Pro display, because that one was apparently still insured, which I didn't think it would be, but it was. So we didn't get that repaired. We sent it to be repaired. It's not done yet, so I'm basically waiting around for it to be done. I took this thing out of the Mac Pro that this camera's standing on, and, well, it's an ATI Radeon 5770, and it has a weird kind of power connector. It's right there. See that? Right in there? It's right there. That's only on the Mac version. And it has this weird kind of hole in it, like a freaking coat hanger for a GPU, which I'm pretty sure is just so that cables can be, because where the connector is to connect to this, is the power comes from behind it. Like, the power connector would be right here on the motherboard. So the cable needs to go in here and into the power. So, yeah. And that's why I'm guessing it has a coat hanger. All right, I'm done. That was great.